Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Akshay Dongre, coming up in the next 30 minutes. US President Trump says US not likely to accept new 14-point peace proposal put forth by Iran, calling for end to multi-pronged conflict. Uncertainty deepens after UAE exit OPEC Plus meets amid high-stakes challenge. Cuba rejects new US sanctions. Cuban President Diaz-Canel denounces dangerous escalation. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in Jamaica on the first leg of three-nation tour that includes Suriname and Trinidad-Tobago. Looks forward to engaging with Jamaican leadership, business community and the Indian diaspora. Election Commission of India makes final preparation for counting of votes for just concluded assembly polls in the states of Assam, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Union Territory of Puducherry. US President Donald Trump on Saturday said he is reviewing a newly submitted proposal from Iran, though he expresses significant doubt regarding its acceptability. In a post on social media, Trump said, and I quote him, "I will soon be reviewing the plan that Iran has just sent to us, but can't imagine that it would be acceptable in that they have not yet paid a big enough price for what they have done to humanity and the world over the last 47 years. The post came shortly after Trump spoke to reporters while onboarding the Air Force One in Florida, where he was asked whether the 14-point proposal was seen by him. Iranian media said Tehran's 14-point proposal included the withdrawal of US forces from areas surrounding Iran, lifting the blockade, releasing Iran's frozen assets, payment of compensation, lifting sanctions and ending the war on all fronts, including Lebanon, as well as a new control mechanism for the strait. The United States and Israel suspended their bombing campaign against Iran 4 weeks ago, but appear no closer to a deal to end a war that has caused the biggest disruption ever to global energy supplies. In a brief interview with reporters in Florida, President Trump said there is the possibility the US and Israel can restart strikes on Iran.
If they misbehave, if they do something bad, but right now, we'll see. But you know, it's a possibility that could happen, certainly.
Iran's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai strongly condemned US President Donald Trump's act like pirates remark and accused Washington of normalizing piracy at sea. With the seizure of Iranian vessels, in a post on social media, Baghai said that the US President has openly described the unlawful seizure of Iranian vessels as piracy, brazenly boasting that we act like pirates, adding that this was no verbal slip but a direct and damning admission of the criminal nature of their actions against international maritime navigation. He further called on the international community, United Nations member states and the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres to firmly reject any normalization of such blatant violation of international law. US CENTCOM Chief Admiral Brad Cooper visited USS Tripoli, a key amphibious assault ship deployed near Iran in the Arabian Sea on Saturday. During the visit, the CENTCOM commander interacted with service members, recognized top performers, and toured various spaces throughout the amphibious assault ship, including the Combat Information Center. The amphibious assault ship USS Tripoli, which is usually based in Japan, has arrived in West Asia in late March. US strengthened its diplomatic team for Iran talks amid ongoing efforts to resolve the conflict. The White House confirmed the appointment of Nick Stewart as an advisor to the diplomatic team tasked with negotiating an end to the ongoing conflict with Iran. The move came as Iran formally issued a counter-proposal to the US-backed 9-point peace initiative, indicating continued diplomacy engagement despite their differences. Qatar Airways said in a statement on Sunday that it continues to reinstate its network across West Asia. Qatar Airways announced the return of passenger flights to Baghdad, Basra, Erbil and Iraq, starting on 10th of May. In the statement shared on social media, it further noted that in parallel, Qatar Airways will reintroduce freighter services to Baghdad from 7th May 2026, further supporting cargo flows to the country. These resumptions follow the airline's recent announcements confirming the return of daily passenger services to Dubai, Sharjah, Bahrain, Damascus, Kozhikode, providing passengers with greater flexibility and enhanced connectivity across the region and beyond. Qatar Airways is also advancing the phased restoration of global network, with its flight schedule expanding from 16 June 2026 to more than 150 destinations across 6 continents. The Israeli military on Sunday issued an urgent evacuation warning to residents of 11 towns and villages in southern Lebanon, asking them to move at least 1,000 meters to open areas. The call comes amid intensified operations against Hezbollah following alleged ceasefire violations. Israeli forces continue to strike across the region, occupying a border strip and destroying infrastructure linked to the group. Hezbollah has responded with persistent drone and rocket attacks targeting Israeli troops in Lebanon and northern Israel. Meanwhile, the situation remains tense in the region with risk to civilian near militant position. 7 OPEC Plus members are meeting on Sunday to make their first decision on oil production quotas since the United Arab Emirates' departure from the group. The UAE, one of the world's top producers, announced on April 28th it was withdrawing from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, an expanded OPEC Plus group, after chafing at their production quotas. The withdrawal took effect on May 1st. Neither group has reacted publicly so far, meaning there will be intense focus on the tone of the statement at the end of Sunday's online meeting by Algeria, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, Oman, Russia and Saudi Arabia. Previous withdrawals from the group by Qatar in 2019 and Angola in 2023. There is also the risk of OPEC Plus that other countries will leave, such as Iraq and Kazakhstan, which have faced repeated accusation of surpassing their quotas. Attorneys for the man accused of attempting to assassinate President Donald Trump at a White House Correspondents' Dinner last weekend asked a judge to remove him from the suicide precaution while in jail in Washington. Easing suicide precaution would allow Allen to call, visit and a limited time outside his cell under supervision. Cole Thomas Allen allegedly stormed a security checkpoint and fired a shotgun outside the White House event on April 25th. When he was initially booked into the jail facility on April 27th, Allen was assigned a safe cell described as a padded room with 24-hour lockdown procedures. Allen is charged with attempted assassination, discharging a firearm during a crime of violence, and illegally transporting guns and ammunition across state lines. He has not yet entered a plea. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel denounced newly expanded US sanctions during a solidarity event in Havana on Saturday. After US President Donald Trump signed an executive order widening restrictions on Cuba, Diaz-Canel rejected claims that Cuba possesses a threat to the United States, calling it a peaceful nation. Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez Parilla said Havana would not negotiate on the sovereignty and would uphold its socialist system. According to the White House order, the new sanctions targeted individuals and entities tied to security forces or corruption, and allows secondary sanctions which Cuban government has said amount to collective punishment and worsens shortages and disruptions.
When they say we are an extraordinary and unusual threat to the United States, and we are sure that is not how the American people feel, but rather how the US government feels, or the pretext that the government uses to attack us. One has to ask, what is the threat? What is extraordinary about that threat? What is unusual about that threat? When Cuba is a country of peace.
Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te, who is on a visit to Eswatini, a country in southern Africa, has told King Moati III that Taiwan has a right to engage with the world and no country can stop that. After he arrived for a surprise trip to Taipei, says Beijing tried to stop. A military honor ceremony was held in honor of Lai's state visit. Lai arrived the former Swaziland home to around 1.3 million people on Saturday on a trip neither government had announced beforehand, having taken an Eswatini government aircraft. Last month, Taiwan said China had forced 3 Indian Ocean countries to pull over flight permissions for Lai's aircraft to travel to the Southern African Kingdom for the 40th anniversary of King Moati III's Ascension and 58th birthday. It is one of the only 12 countries with formal ties with Taipei. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is in Jamaica on the first leg of his 3-nation tour that also includes Suriname and Trinidad and Tobago, which will continue till 10th of this month. Upon his arrival, he was welcomed by Jamaica's Foreign Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. The 2-day visit to Jamaica aims to strengthen bilateral relations through engagements with Jamaican leadership, the business community and the Indian diaspora, highlighting the robust partnership between the two nations. According to a statement by the Ministry of External Affairs, the visit underscores India's close historical and cultural ties with the three countries, particularly due to the presence of Girmitia communities. India and Myanmar strengthened their naval cooperation through high-level engagement during an official visit. As part of his visit to Myanmar, Admiral Dinesh K. Tripathi boarded the Myanmar Navy frigate UMS Kyan Set Thar on 2nd May. Where he was received by Captain Kwa Thet Naing with the ceremonial guard of honor. He was briefed on the indigenous shipbuilding and fleet capabilities, while both sides discussed enhancing interoperability and expanding cooperation for maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. 7-year-old Ishang Singh scripts history by swimming across the Park Strait. Magnus Carlsen beats Nil Grandelius in round 2 of Siegmen chess tournament.
Sustainability now as an idea is not just about distant plans. It's about everyday choices. And more people are trying now to use less, waste less and rebuild what's been damaged.
We were actually experimenting with different technologies, EV, CNG, etc. And on the way we also got to know about the retrofit vehicles. We found this technology to be more sustainable than probably the EVs also.
Zero waste means repair, reuse, analyze.
More than 16,000 women in this region, and the use of traditional farming methods is helping them better withstand the unpredictability of climate change. The stored gas from the balloon reaches the generator through the pipeline. Now, as you see, I'll start the generator without any supporting fuel.
Welcome back, you're watching DD India Live. I'm Akshay Dongre. And counting of votes for the just concluded assembly polls in the 4 states of Assam, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu and Kerala and the Union Territory of Puducherry will take place on 4th of this month. Election Commission has more or less completed all preparations to ensure that no untoward incident is reported from the venue of counting centres as trends and results pour in from the EVMs. Security has been tightened to ensure law and order is not hampered at all. The eastern Indian state of West Bengal recorded the highest ever voter turnout since independence in assembly elections this time. The massive participation has set the tone for a high-stakes political battle whether Mamata Banerjee will extend her dominance with the 4th consecutive term or the BJP will finally break the Trinamool Congress stronghold in the state.
West Bengal has recorded its highest voter turnout since independence, surpassing the long-standing benchmark set in 2011 a watershed election that ended 34 years of left-front rule and brought Mamata Banerjee to power. According to available data, the first phase of polling in the current election saw an unprecedented turnout of 93.19%, while the second phase followed closely with 92.67%, challenging the long-held perception of lower participation in urban constituencies. The surge in voter engagement has triggered sharp and competing political interpretations across party lines. The Bharatiya Janata Party has framed the high turnout as a sign of strong anti-incumbency against the 15-year-old rule of Trinamool Congress. Party leaders argue that public dissatisfaction over issues such as women's safety, unemployment among the youth, law and order concerns, and alleged corruption scandals has translated into a decisive electoral push. The BJP also claims that concerns over vote bank politics and alleged patronage of illegal infiltration have further fueled voter mobilization, particularly in North Bengal and parts of South Bengal, including Kolkata. In contrast, the ruling All India Trinamool Congress has attributed the turnout to what it calls a response from voters against alleged irregularities, including claims of voter name deletions linked to the special intensive revision process. TMC leaders maintain that the electorate has turned out in large numbers to defend democratic rights and will ultimately return the party to power with a strong mandate. The opposition space beyond BJP is also showing renewed optimism. The Indian National Congress is hopeful of regaining ground in districts such as Malda and Murshidabad, while the Left Front believes this election could mark its return to the assembly after a period of decline. Historically, the BJP struggled in urban Kolkata in 2021. The party failed to win any of the city's 11 seats and secured only 18 out of 142 seats in the second phase overall. However, BJP leaders now project a significant improvement, drawing parallels with their jump from 3 seats in earlier elections to 77 seats in 2021 and expressing confidence of crossing the majority mark this time. Meanwhile, the Election Commission's assurance of a peaceful and largely violence-free electoral process is being cited as a key factor behind the high turnout. This has also led to questions from the opposition parties about TMC's earlier objections regarding campaign restrictions and counting centre infrastructure. Adding to the political tension, Mamata Banerjee has asserted that the TMC is on track to secure over 200 seats, a claim that will be tested when counting takes place on Monday. As West Bengal awaits the verdict, the record-breaking turnout has set the stage for a closely watched and potentially transformative electoral outcome. Saurabh Datta's report from Kolkata for DD India.
And the results of the high-voltage campaign for the Assam Assembly elections will see its final D-Day on 4th of this month. The 2 weeks of fiery rhetoric and a flood of promises from LPG cylinders to mustard oil, jobs and even justice for Zubeen Garg within 100 days. The political campaign was characterized by pivotal issues such as eviction, immigration and the development projects. DD India correspondent Subina Roy takes us through some of the issues that set the electoral narrative of Assam Assembly elections. Take a look.
Assam political stage had 2 main contenders in this election, BJP and the Congress. The NDA theme echoed the rhetorics of Jati Mati Beti, protecting Assamese culture, language and identity while vowing to drive out every Bangladeshi infiltrator. While the Congress primarily focused on attacking CM Himanta Biswa Sarma and BJP's politics of hate. Now let's take a look at what issues shaped the political narrative this time in Assam. Immigration and national identity. Illegal immigration has remained the centerpiece of Assam politics since decades and remained a fundamental topic in Assamese politics during 2026 election campaign. The BJP-led government asserted that it has taken significant steps to implement the Assam Accords provisions, while the opposition questioned its commitment to providing safeguards for the cultural and linguistic identity of the indigenous Assamese population. forest, land and property reclamation. The ruling alliance focused on its initiatives aimed at reclaiming forest land, temple property and other government assets claimed to be encroached upon. However, the opposition was poised to categorize these eviction efforts as a humanitarian crisis, emphasizing the displacement of people who have lost their homes and economic livelihoods as a result of demolitions. NRC and CAA discussions. An added dimension to the immigration debate has been the updating of the National Register of Citizens and the Citizenship Amendment Act. The debate surrounding these issues is likely to have an impact on the voter base, especially benefiting the NDA in garnering the support of Bengali Hindu voters in Assam. Development initiatives and welfare schemes. The Assam government showcased its major development initiatives during its campaigning, focusing on infrastructure, improvements in roads, railways, airports and waterways. Nevertheless, the opposition challenged the claim of equitable development, asserting that benefits have primarily favored specific regions at the cost of indigenous communities. Welfare programs for women and youth. The ruling coalition went up and in emphasizing its welfare programs for women such as monthly Arunodoy, financial assistance and support for women entrepreneurs. Additionally, the government showcased its recruitment initiatives, having purportedly appointed over 160,000 youths across various departments. Public sentiment following Zubeen Garg's death. The recent death of acclaimed singer Zubeen Garg in Singapore also became a part of this year's political rhetoric, with calls for justice concerning the circumstances surrounding his alleged murder. These issues, which fill the political canvas of Assam politics, will be a decisive factor in deciding the electoral fate of 722 candidates.
Assam stands at the cusp of the decision day with a historic voter turnout of around 85%. All eyes are now set on May 4th, where the ballots will decide the fate of 126 constituencies of the Assam Assembly. With DDK Guwahati team, Subina Roy, DD India.
Now moving on to South India, Kerala has reinforced security arrangements ahead of the assembly election vote counting tomorrow. With heightened surveillance across the state and prohibitory orders issued in Kozhikode following the recent incidents of violence in various parts. Section 144 will be enforced across Kozhikode with limits on public gatherings, demonstrations and victory processions. The sale of firecrackers have been restricted for the day. The counting of votes will start with the postal ballots, and EVMs of a maximum of 14 booths will be counted in one round. The results of the 5 state assembly elections will be announced on 4th of May. Of the 5 states, 3 are in southern India, but among them Tamil Nadu is drawing the sharpest attention. The big question remains whether actor Vijay's political entry has enough force to weaken the long-standing Dravidian political order in the state. And now time for news from sports world. 7-year-old Ishan Singh scripted history by swimming across the challenging Park Strait between India and Sri Lanka, a feat powered by months of rigorous training. The young swimmer from Ranchi swam nearly 29 kilometers from Talaimannar in Sri Lanka to Dhanuskodi in India in just 9 hours and 50 minutes. With this, he became the youngest swimmer in the world to cross the route, setting a new world record. For this feat, he has been awarded the youngest and fastest Park Strait swimmer world record certificate by the Universal Records Forum. And world number 1 Magnus Carlsen defeated Nils Grandelius in round 2 of the 2026 Sigmund chess tournament to secure his first classical win of the year. Playing with the black pieces, Carlsen emerged as the only winner of the day, with rest of the games ending in a draw. Magnus Carlsen joined leaders Nodirbek Abustarov and Andy Woodward on 1.5 point after 2 rounds. In other games, Abustarov let a winning position slip 3 times against co-leader Woodward to finally settle for a draw. Meanwhile, Yagis Khan Erdogmus survived constant time trouble to secure a draw against India's Arjun Erigaisi. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Akshay Dongre, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.